right. Hello and welcome back to the Behind the Signs series. Today I'm joined with the one and only Mike Lindley. Mike, thanks for joining today.
Hey, anytime. I appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. So, Mike, you joined the Air Force in 1988, which was a great year. My birth year.
Oh, holy cow.
Yes. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been in the business and what got you into real estate?
Okay, so joined in 88, but came in 89. But so did 26 years in the military.
Thank you for your service.
Appreciate it. Retired here out of Patrick. I wanted to go to Texas to retire, but my wife told me I would be lonely. I decided to stay here. And and so I finished a master's degree in human resources. When I retired, I got into a job in human resources, and I did not like that job, so I quit. And then I got into another HR job and didn't like that job.
You're in a lot of the HR world.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, we have another agent here.
It's not an easy gig.
Right. And so a buddy of mine was a real estate agent, and I asked him, hey, can I join y'all's team? And he said, yep, and showed me the ropes. And then so I've been in it about 6 years now, really enjoying it.
Awesome.
And finally
it's a great biz.
It is.
So 6 years in.
Yes.
Military background, HR background. How do you think that's influenced your career and everything you do in real estate?
Well, I think the military background really helped me out way more than my HR background, because I learned in HR that it's mainly about the business and not the people. But but when I was in the
company dollar,
right, and I'm not necessarily about that. I'm wanting to help the people. So in the Air Force, I was a first sergeant for about 7 years, which their job is people, and so I think it really helped me to be able to connect with folks and also be looking for their best interest, not the company or the big or my best interest.
Yeah, you're getting a commission.
Right. So I want to help them, because if I can help them, and that's what I think gives me purpose, I guess, and that's what I feel like that's what you want to do. You want to do something that gives you purpose.
And I can speak on your behalf that you've been here for a while now, and I know that you do that in your business, and it's a very important thing. And I think people that are in any business where the dollar comes first is the most important thing, and then helping or doing your job is the second thing, your system's always broken.
Right.
And it's like when you do a good job for people, when you care about people, you care about the outcome, then that leads to success financially. But it can't be in the reverse order.
Right.
And I think you do a great job of that.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. And you got that was one of our core values awards, so and you earned that one.
Nice.
Mike is a storyteller, and that's his MO, and he tells some great stories. So I'm going to start this off with, give us one of the funniest things that you've seen while touring a listing on a showing.
Ooh.
And I know you probably got a bunch of them.
Yeah. I think there's a couple, but I think it's the same theme. So, scheduled showing, the listing agent said, hey, the seller is going to be there. And I'm like, okay, great. I have no heartache.
Love that. That's our favorite thing to hear.
So
can't wait to see the seller.
Right. And so I get there. I get there, and this lady is high as a kite and has tons of marijuana everywhere. And she
probably reeks.
Oh yeah, she reeks. The house reeks, and so she, of course, but she's not stingy. She offered us some, but
that was nice of her.
But
she's a giver,
right? She is a giver. But she was telling us how she's gonna get off the grid. She bought a Sea-Land container and is planning it over near somewhere in Central Florida, and going to get solar panels. Yeah, she's going to live in it.
Oh,
and
fancy one's got solar panels.
Right. So she was going off the grid, but she had so much marijuana. I mean, like every corner there was a bag of marijuana somewhere. It was in the kitchen.
Yeah.
It was, we opened a drawer in the kitchen. It was in the drawer.
Just wherever she is in the house.
Right.
Quick and easy access.
It was, and so that. My folks were teachers, and so they weren't really inclined to take
partake.
it. Yeah. So
good for them.
yeah, but I mean,
wouldn't have
sweet
trusted
lady.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
We didn't buy the house.
It's interesting. And was that an owner or was that a tenant? Do you remember?
That was an owner.
An owner,
She
yeah.
was selling her house so she could get the money to go
Yeah,
off grid.
she was going for a specific clientele that she wanted to sell her house to.
I don't even think she did.
She didn't think much about it.
She didn't think much about that.
She was like,
She
this
was
is
like,
this
hey,
is fine.
yeah,
This is very presentable.
right.
So, military background. You work with a lot of VA buyers.
Yes.
Do you have any tips for someone military background who's looking to use VA loan? Tips, process wise, or pros and cons?
Well, there's a couple things. I think you always want to get a veteran agent. I hate to I mean, every agent. There's a lot of great agents who aren't veterans, but I feel like veteran agents help and understand whenever you're because you come
going through.
Right, you're not here permanently.
Yeah.
You're gonna stay here for a few years. You're gonna go. So, I've chatted with those folks. I've said, hey, this isn't your forever home. This is your home for right now.
Yep.
So let's make sure we get in a good area, and that'll be good, nice resellable home, and plan for the future until they can get to that part where they will have a forever home.
Yeah.
But the eligibility, you need to have someone who's understands the VA eligibility, and for every house I walk through and I look at what the VA is going to pick up, and so
it's an important piece of this because you're going to have some different qualifications for the house itself,
Yep.
physical condition wise, that with the VA loan that you're not going to have with your conventional loan. And
Right.
so having an agent who understands that process is important.
right, it just makes it go a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and then work with great lenders who are also VA lenders.
Yep.
So
Yeah. And have you seen, and we had a period of time, a couple years ago where the VA loans it was almost, the market was so competitive that you submit an offer and it's like you got a VA loan where someone's putting nothing down and now you got a cash buyer. And that was a tough period for veterans, I think, right, to get offers accepted. What are you seeing now?
Right now is a great time for veterans because we are negotiating. I mean, you can walk into a house for free. I have done that on 3 of my last sales. So because we are negotiating closing costs, we're negotiating, repairs, those type of things that are definitely a benefit to the VA guy that they didn't have a few years ago.
Yeah.
And so a few years ago, we were losing out a lot.
Yeah.
But now I think it's a great time because you can almost, and in some cases I feel you'll get a check at closing back. You can walk in on a home for free.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great thing that helps out the veterans. So
Yes.
if you're, military, use the program.
It. Yeah, absolutely use it. And we've not just use it, take advantage of it for now. You can, there's enough eligibility that you could probably get a couple properties.
Yeah.
And so,
and I think what you said too about is important for, people that they know they're going to be stationed somewhere else. It's like, consider how easy is this house going to be to resell
yes.
in 3 years.
Right.
Because you don't know the future of the market and things like this. So taking that into consideration is also a good tip for when you're looking at houses. Like, if I have to move in 3 years, I get stationed somewhere else, how quickly can I sell this thing?
Exactly. And I think that's one of the most important things, because when the anxiety that you get when you're a military guy or gal and you're moving and you can't get out of your house payment and then you have to go somewhere else. I've been in that situation.
Yeah.
To where you have 2 mortgages for a while, and it's a very stressful time.
That's an important
I try to
thing.
make sure that we avoid that at all costs.
And that's kind of like what you're talking about too with, working with someone who has a military background. It's like, now you're understanding what they're mentally going through
Yes.
for the entire process.
Absolutely.
So tell us about a time, anything that sticks out in your head, past clients, that have been in that situation, from maybe a veteran moving from out of state. What's a memorable transaction that you had where you've worked with a VA person relocating to Brevard County or moving out of here?
I tell you, I guess it's scary and rewarding all at once.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, you got a guy that's overseas. He's coming here, wants to buy a house. Everything is over video. Everything.
Yeah,
so they're starting
tough.
The process. They're looking at
another good point about the process that a lot of people in other situations don't go through.
Right. And so, I'll give you, for instance, I'm talking to a lady and showing her a house and she was looking for a house. I was telling her, hey, this is a house. This is good. The neighborhood's okay, but let's drive around the neighborhood and I'll video it and let's see if this is the neighborhood for you. Mm-hmm. Now, in my head, I'm like, dear God, please don't buy this house. But we got to show.
See what I'm seeing.
Right. And so, but what happened, it just so happened that when I rounded the corner, Sheriff Ivy was on scene of a house with his entourage, and they were doing a video that they later put out on Facebook and YouTube, and that was hilarious. And I was like, "Let me just show you this video." And it was Sheriff Ivy's like, "If you live in this house, we're watching you," because we've had 151 calls of drugs and everything.
Wow.
And so that kind of when they saw that, they were like, "Okay, maybe we'll listen and not go that area."
That makes sense.
So,
yeah.
and I mean, because you got to show the house. You got to, but and you can't necessarily tell your opinion.
No, you don't want to steer people, and
right.
that's part of fair housing,
right? And
it's like, but you want to get, you want to make sure that they're understanding
safe,
of what they're getting and they're safe, and that is what's tough with the videos. Do you have any tips for someone in that situation where they are out of country or out of state, and they're like, you're being the eyes on the ground?
Well, that just you got to pick somebody who you trust because like I said, I've done several of them now, sight unseen, and I keep the keys until they get there. They close everything. First time they're seeing the house is weeks after closing.
Yeah, and
so you're just praying that, man, I hope they like the house. And so far, they all have loved the house, which is very, But I would say just make sure because you don't just quickly film it. What I do is I use a program where they can go back and watch the video over and over and over again. So I make sure I video everything I can.
Yeah.
And if they want to go back and look, I go back and look multiple times just to make sure.
Yeah.
So.
Having and like you said on that, like the neighborhood itself. Obviously, you go online, you see a house, see some pretty pictures of this pretty house, but it's like, what's the houses around it like? What's the neighborhood, proximity things, and another thing that's been useful for those situations is like telling people going on like just Google Maps too, and just like sit in the little Google Map car,
right? Oh yes,
drive around the neighborhoods, Obviously, too, it's nice if they do, and a lot of times they don't. They don't have a family member or a friend that lives locally that they can come check it out on their behalf, too, because that's always
I would say majority don't because they're coming here.
They're coming here, they've never lived here before. They're getting stationed somewhere else. They know not a single person here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then it makes, you got to make all new friends, and it's not
a hard thing.
Easy situation to be in. So, military background, HR background, real estate now. What's one of your favorite pieces of advice that you've gotten from any of those, whether it's been military or real estate?
I think don't sweat the small stuff. And you've seen me sweat the small stuff, and you've told me, hey, don't sweat the small stuff.
But Jeff repeats a line that I said to you one time. I said, Mike, I have 1,000 other problems that are way worse than that one, so I think you're going to be all right.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think, that's a learning process, of course, but I think with a good crew around you, so I try to surround myself with folks who are like-minded, who are positive, who want to succeed, and they're not afraid to help you get to succeed.
Yeah.
And I think that's super important because, you know, in
Supportive
my first
people.
few years in real estate, you know, I just hung out with my team and I really didn't go out and explore very much. But now I'm out on my own and I went out and explored and I'm, you know, meeting all these other agents. I'm getting to know folks in the business and it's really been, you know, a good experience.
Yeah. Compare that to, like, obviously, two very different things. Real estate agents in the real estate industry and then the military. So real estate, you know, we're salespeople by nature. They're independent contractors. You're like this entrepreneur. And with that, you get wildly different and full of life personalities is how I describe it.
Yeah.
You get all kinds of characters in real estate, for better or worse, right? What's this environment been like comparative to military?
So I think in both areas you can have over the top folks, you can have introverts, you can have all kinds of. I think the difference is sometimes when rank is involved, you can tell somebody to shut up and they will.
Yeah.
To where
You have
sometimes
a
agents
hierarchy
right.
of where what this person above me says goes.
Right.
Whether
you walk out the door, even
I
if
like
you
it or
disagree, that is now your idea that they just told you to.
You're like, you know what? I actually really love that idea
Right.
that you just said.
Right, and you go out and that's what you preach,
Yeah.
and you know, so there's not a lot of room for. I mean, of course, in the military, you can, you know, give your opinion and everything, but in the end, the boss is the boss, and you know, and then here, I think with dealing with some agents, you know, you have really got to adapt because there are angry agents. There are very specific, you know, every I dot, you know, right there.
Manager.
Oh yeah, and they're, you know, and then there's
the ones
people
that
that don't show. They're like
disappeared.
you send a contract to, and you never hear from them
You're
again.
like, are you alive?
I know.
Is this thing on?
Right, and so
Yeah.
you gotta adapt. You gotta. I feel you can't take it so seriously.
Yeah.
You just gotta roll with it.
Don't sweat the small stuff
Don't sweat the
is great advice. And you know, when you have a passion for anything business, real estate business, you know, keeping that passion and growing that passion and not sweating the small stuff is important because a business in general is tough. Being a real estate agent is tough. It's a very mentally challenging thing.
Oh yeah.
And I think you probably learn, like military wise, you learn a lot of humility.
Oh yeah.
Which transfers over into this business a lot.
It needs to be. Now, there's, of course, in every case, there's people who have no humility.
Yeah.
But, you know, for like instance, you know, this summer I jacked something up and it cost me $5,000.
Yeah.
And, but you got to own up to your part of it and do what's right.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, yeah.
But
and an expensive one.
But you know what? I'll never do it again.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I'll never make that mistake again.
You learn the lesson.
Right.
But yeah, and especially newer agents, you know, getting into the business, it's a very, I mean, people still get egos and stuff like, you know, but it can be very humbling. I mean, you're out trying to get, you know, you're trying to grow your business, trying to get people to use you. And it's like, sometimes you're like, oh, this is so degrading. Like, you know, I'm like, I want to do good, and I'm like just trying to get anything I can.
Yeah.
And it's like over time you build that confidence. You know, your service is good. You know, you're doing a great job. But like, yeah, you got to stay humble throughout the whole
you know,
process.
I wholeheartedly believe that, but I also believe that not just your humility has to fall on of the ego. You know, you can't have an ego. I mean, I know people have egos in this business and they do great, but man, you know, I've heard very seasoned agents ask very dumb questions.
That's 100%.
You know,
it's almost
like, oh my gosh.
Whenever someone says a statement and then they follow it up by, I've been in the business 20 years or 30 years or 40 years. Whatever they said before that is probably sussy, to say the least.
Yeah.
It's like when they follow it up with, I've been in the business for 30 years, you're like, whatever you just said before, that's wrong.
Right.
Like, that's just pretty much your guarantee on that. Yeah. So Going off topic here, just a fun question. You can live anywhere in the world. Where would it be?
All right, so I've been
I think
all over the world.
Yeah, and you've been a lot of places, and that's why I'm asking this one, because this is.
But
Tell us a couple of the places you've been to.
So I've been to Australia and Thailand and India and all the stands, Afghanistan,
stands,
or
you've seen a lot. Seen a lot of places,
right? But I was born in Texas, and so Texas
has
is the
your
place.
heart.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the place to be.
if you're born in Texas and you always answer Texas. I don't think people from you're a Texan.
Right.
You're Texan for life. That's a Texan thing.
It's a Texan. I got it tattooed on my body, not just once, but a few times.
A few times.
And everything. But
go to Texas.
Right.
Okay, so Texas.
So
out
Texas,
of all the places.
All the places,
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I would visit. I would love to visit. I loved Australia. Loved Thailand. I think my favorite place was Germany because it's in Belgium and those places because of the World War II. I'm a World War II guy, so I really like to visit those sites and see all the stuff there and see what the Greatest Generation is about.
Yeah, and Texas is a great place. I've been twice.
Remember the Alamo,
and remember the Alamo. That's gonna be our opening intro to this. Remember the Alamo.
Absolutely.
Mike, you're an amazing agent. Proud to see how much you've grown since you've been here. Thanks for coming on today. How can the people reach you?
Absolutely. You can, call me. I'm a personal person. I want you to call me on my personal phone. 321-474-0219. Put that in your bank.
Put that in. Save it in the Rolodex.
You're right. Or Mike Sells Space Coast.
That's it. Awesome.
At gmail.com.
At gmail.com. Thanks for coming on, Mike.
All right. Thank you.